What it is, everybody. We're back for another episode of the Crane Kicks Lex podcast. We're here after a brutal weekend, but that's okay. I'm just saying brutal because now my allergies are in full swing. They are assaulting me. The pollen in the air, nature hates me. I kind of am finally understanding what the villains in Captain Planet were getting at. Starting to see their side a little bit. You know, that's how people empathize with Thanos. I'm kind of empathizing with them. I don't remember any of their names. There was like the radiation dude in a Speedo, maybe him. I'm not sure, but it's killing me. The pollen is real deal. It's partially, I think, because I mowed the lawn for the first time the other day, and then also the team that I coach, the game that happened during the Louisville City game. The place we went to is basically like there's like swamp around the field, and just walking through it, I think kicked up stuff, and now I'm like dying. So anyway, how are you guys? Jessica, what's up?
Not much. Just because all the rain we've been having has just totally messed with all of our schedules, and
Yeah.
wow, yeah, I'm like totally drawing a blank.
Yeah, life is life. And
sorry, yeah, don't have much to contribute to that.
Hey, but that's the exact vibe that I'm feeling right now, where it's just like, I don't know, I'm just here.
Exactly.
Life is happening to me, and
yeah,
I can't stop it.
Right.
Dylan, what about you, man?
I'm doing well. I wanted to bring this up. So my dad is in Turkey right now, the Turkey, and
Hey.
he's there just for a work trip, right? And I told him, and my dad is a fellow bald man, right? And I told him that there are a lot of people who go there to go for hair transplants, so be on the lookout for people with it. And the first text I get from him today, he left Sunday, right? The first text I get from him today was, "You were totally right about the hair transplant thing."
Oh my God.
And I thought that was funny. And he was like, "Do you need me to bring you back some?" And I was like, "No, I'm good, but maybe my podcast co-hosts need some." So,
I feel like you've been researching this. I didn't know that about Turkey.
No, you didn't?
No,
Yeah.
I just always like associate it with like all the Hellenistic architecture and stuff, and then you're like, no, it's the hair transplant place.
Yeah, for sure.
So anybody listening, if you need the hookup, Dylan apparently knows exactly where to go.
Got a guy.
I have not done it, as you can see, visual evidence. I have not done it. So
I mean, that's far to travel to make it happen. So, if you ever get him truly, where he's giving you the hookup flies here, then let us know about your guy. I mean, I'll probably stay like this. I'm too lazy to take care of hair. This was actually the perfect situation for me.
I look better this way anyway.
Yeah. I spent too much of my life just waking up and being like, I'm just going to let my hair be whatever it is. And, somebody somewhere was like, you know what? You probably should just take that responsibility out of your hands. So, at the end of the day, it was a good choice. So we didn't have like a ton of stuff. There's not like been a lot of news here recently. It's kind of been slow. It's like weird. It always makes me feel weird when things slow down as much as they have. Which granted, like Super League starting to wind down a little bit. Championship, I just think it's a matter of like it's been a lot of back and forth, and not being at home last weekend, which was the weirdest thing ever. Not going to the stables last weekend because there was no soccer there, and I'm like, what's going on? Is the season over? Did I miss something? Or are we just going back to normal life? But no, it was just one weekend, so we had to survive. We'll get to the championship stuff here in a bit. Sure, Kyle will pop on, maybe surprise us. Let's start with Super League. Let's just get there. Our final matchup with Spokane. And like, this is a team I just feel like has kind of become almost like we're approaching rivalry level in my brain. They probably don't view us as rivals, but for me, I think it's just the matter of the fact that every time they're here in Lexington, they have 400 fans that appear out of nowhere. And I'm like, where are you all coming from? And it's probably because of Amina Ekic, where she used to play for Racing Louisville, and now she's playing for Spokane. And she's just got a huge fan base, I guess. Still, I'm kind of like, man, if you guys are really that close, unless you're related to her, could you not throw on a little bit of green? But neither here nor there. In this last matchup, it was kind of like for all the marbles because we had a win apiece and a draw. And so this was like the one that could have decided like who's gonna own the series, essentially. I felt like, I don't know, it could have had some good potential, especially seeing the lineup and then thinking like at some point our fortunes have to change. Like you look at the law of averages, eventually things are going to start going our way. At least you hope that's the case in this season. And it's not like, well, our law of averages is 10 years from now. And then all of a sudden we have a 10-year run. Going into this matchup, I think we kind of talked about this. We were like tentatively like, oh, maybe things will be fine, maybe not. However, it kind of started off on like a bad foot, right? We ended up having a a given up PK, which I totally get it. Julie Mackin had to stop the attacker. It's one of those like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't situations. And man, are we damned. Like,
Yeah.
it did not turn out well. And then from that point on, it kind of feels like, okay, now we have to claw things back. It's hard
Yeah.
for us to, snag points in general, but you never want to see your team go down a goal early on and then be like, how are we going to right the ship? How are we going to make this happen? I gotta say though, because I don't want to be like too bleak on this because there are plenty of things we could talk about that was like, that just didn't go right. I don't know how you all felt about this. I mean, we texted a little bit, but I don't know if it ever really truly came out. I feel like this was a pretty solid performance for us, all things
Mhm.
considered. And even looking at like our whole body of work as of recent, this felt okay. It didn't feel like the whole match we were just like, what do we do? What happens now? Like, do I kick the ball here or do I run there? It felt very like, okay, we have a plan and we're going to try and execute it. It just didn't come out our way. I don't know. What are our thoughts on this match, Dylan?
I do feel the same way. There was kind of like a good vibe in there somewhere, right? I think there was some success when Sarah was, pinging long balls to Maddie or Hannah, and they were kind of obtaining possession with the ball and then starting something that way. That way, we didn't have to build up through the back and worry about like passing back and forth, between defender and keeper and whatnot. And that worked a few times, and felt like we created some chances, and the forwards were more involved than normal. And I think that's the biggest like barometer for me was the forwards were way more involved than pretty much any other game we saw, for the last couple stretches.
Mm-hmm. So, and one thought I had as far as the foul that gave them the PK with Julie is I feel like it it didn't. I don't think it was intentional. I think it was unfortunate, and obviously, I think unfortunately the ref made the correct call, but I don't think Julie was intending. It looked a little bit like she tripped and happened to take the defender down with her, or the offensive player down with her. So I think that just kind of stunk. And because you can even just see with her reaction of just like, I
Yeah.
can't believe that it happened. But as far as like the game as a whole, we had 80% pass accuracy, 46% possession. We had 10 shots, 2 were on goal. So like, I do feel like it was pretty solid. Because I feel like in past games there are times where you're watching and you can just tell that they're not really in sync. And I feel like we had a lot more completed passes, really good. When we did have possession, I feel like kept it pretty well. And I think there were just several things that happened throughout the game that, with the PK, the handball by Spokane that didn't get called, that should have been a PK for us, but wasn't. I think just a few unfortunate things that just didn't quite go our way, unfortunately.
I will say this felt more like a game where you could almost say like, okay, bad luck was at play a little bit more so than our other performances. We're like, yeah, that was us. We got to own that. But the missed PK, like the missed handball, it's wild to me because it was absolutely blatant. And I remember the commentators being like, from their angle, they probably couldn't see that. And I'm like, I think everybody in that stadium could see that handball. Like her arm was outstretched and just caught the header right out of the air. And I'm not saying it for sure would have been a goal, but when you look at the replay from an angle, there's a chance that it could have made it in. Like people were not moving quick enough to get to that spot, and that arm being outstretched
was out there
blocking the ball, that was in no way natural position. And like I just don't see how anybody would have missed that. It wasn't like there was a lot of traffic either. There weren't like 400 players all around them huddled together. So it felt very much like, really? Like you missed that? And then you kind of think back to moments like, with our men's team in that championship game where they took our goal away after like 3 minutes of thinking about it. And I'm like, but you can make a snap decision with this and you're ready to go.
Right.
That really sucked. And I'm not saying that would have like won us the game, but man, a PK opportunity could get you a point at least.
And and Kate Doyle, like that was a goal.
It
like
was.
where was the offsides? There was no one offsides, and there was no alleged like impeding the keeper. Where was that? Replay does not show that at all. So like maybe it is horse mafia, Tyler. They're.
I mean, and it could be, and I don't want to be like. It pains me to say it. There's like two sides of me. There's the side of me that's like, okay, like Vernus did not touch the ball. She didn't make like a truly legitimate play on the ball. That should not have been offside. Then there's a side of me that's like, okay, like her sticking her foot out to get a like touch on the ball could be perceived as an attacker making a play on the ball, and she was offside. So like I'm a little torn, to be honest with you. Don't come after me. I know everybody's like cussing me out right now, but like I could see why it was called that way, and I'm not like crazy mad about it. Now, of course, the LSC fan of me says like that wasn't really that strong of a play on the ball. She slightly stuck her foot out, and it even looks as though she pulls it back because then she thinks better of it and is like, I'm not going to do this. And on the stream they're saying, well, it's because she's impeding the keeper or distracting the keeper, and it's like I think that's a little weak to say that she's distracting the keeper. That's a weak argument. If you want to say she was in offside position, made a play on the ball, okay, you can argue that. Maybe I can buy it a little bit, but that was a conflicting one for me. I still lean more towards it should have been a goal, just simply because like Vernus, and maybe I'm just misremembering, but I watched it back like 3 times, and it felt to me like she like aborted mission, and she was like, oh wait, and pulled her foot back. And at that point, maybe you could say, well, she already made the action. It's a tough one. I'm most upset about the handball. That one really ticked me out because that was so incredibly blatant, and I feel like that was just stolen point from us. And like really, at the end of the day, like you're gonna keep us down when we're already like we are. Like, give us that at least, because that was deserved. That wasn't even maybe it was just like her hand happened to be like in a weird position at that moment, but it wasn't really blatant. No, it was.
Well, and because I rewatched Doyle's goal too, and like even paused right as like she kicked the ball, and you could like and Vernus, she looked like she was in line with the defenders.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's in cases where it obviously we don't have VAR, but in Premier League games or MLS games where they would look at it.
We'll get there.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
But in cases like that where they're like, oh, the foot is just barely, it's like that's how if she was offsides, that's probably how close it was, like a few inches, like it didn't and I think what was challenging too is for us watching is the camera angle that they have in the stadium.
Oh that's
really weird.
Trash.
Yeah. And so
it's like I'm watching it from the moon.
Yeah. So granted,
Right.
it was kind of hard to tell from that angle, but it just I think it should have counted.
Well, and not to like go back and beat a dead horse, but at the same time, it's like you can catch that
Right.
slight little offside, but you couldn't
But
catch the image
Obvious
of somebody
hand.
swatting a ball out of the air with their arm
Mhm.
like completely outstretched. I'm not really buying that. It just
for real.
man, I don't know. I don't know what we did to tick off the league, but somebody somewhere in our organization made the league real mad, and they're like, you're gonna be allowed to exist, but only so you suffer. Just so you
Mm,
know, you will live and you will suffer. There will be no reprieve from this.
yeah.
I mean, I do appreciate the effort the team put in, and I do
Yeah.
feel like we were doing really well. And I feel encouraged by that, especially with us having a run of 3 games at home to finish off the season. Because I'm like, maybe that will just be something we can use as a spark when we're at the stables. And I mean, like Dylan and you guys both actually pointed this out. We actually had a lot of good chances. Sometimes we could have been a little bit more clinical, getting it into like the right spot instead of just sending it to the keeper. But I appreciate the chances we took, and I feel like it was encouraging to see.
Yeah.
And Jessica, you'll probably agree with me on this, but like Sarah Cox, it was just so good too. Like
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
she made
yeah,
incredible saves, and like she'll keep us in games, right?
right,
Like she's the kind of keeper that makes it feel like, oh, we have her. I feel like we can come back. Like
yeah,
Mhm.
I feel like we're not necessarily dead.
yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
she is so good at that. I mean, even one save of the month. Like, I mean, I just feel like she's doing those incredible saves routinely. It's very like a mall nightish, right? Where it's like
Mhm.
those crazy saves happen, and then we end up having a goal scored on us that is not necessarily all on the
Keeper's
keeper. It's
fault.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's a team situation where it's like somebody did not clear that ball or somebody
Mm,
made this weird move, and that's not
mhm.
saying it's completely blameless for keepers, but I feel
Right.
like Sarah does keep us in a lot of games and make some incredible saves that you're just like, how in the world?
Yeah.
And I feel like to that exact point, Tyler, is it can make the keeper look bad when we're letting
Yeah,
in goals and it's not necessarily the keeper's fault, right?
right,
And then, like optically, it's like, oh, well, now you got to switch out keepers when it's like the keeper's not really the issue. It's the
right.
defense. The defense is the issue. We can't keep
Mhm.
passing it back to the keeper because that
Oh my
always ends in a
gosh.
goal, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, and I just feel like as well as we played in this game, Spokane did a really good job of like losing marks and making runs in behind the defense. Like we would have them marked, and then a ball would be floated in or sent through, and then all of a sudden they just slip away, and then it would take way too long for us to realize like, oh, my mark is gone, they are now running towards goal and the ball is going right towards them. And that's what happened with the second goal, right? Like, I mean, they send in that lofted ball and then all of a sudden their attacker just swoops in behind the defense and scores. That felt like it was coming for a while in that second half. And it just really, really stinks because,
Mhm.
right now I think that we have, if I'm not mistaken, like 55 goals scored on us, and like the next closest team is in the low 30s. So we're struggling. And Sarah Cox actually has, I think, the second most saves in the league, and she's not even played every game for us, which is
Yeah.
a phenomenal thing that your keeper
Right.
is making so many saves. But it's also pretty damning evidence that like we
We're
are
getting shot
letting
on.
shots, yes, like
A
constantly.
ton.
Yeah,
She
you add
has
that plus the 55 goals, and then you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah, so she number one actually right now is Hope Heisey with
hmm
Spokane, and Sarah's number two with 59
How
saves.
many, while you're there, how many clean sheets does Sarah have?
One,
Okay.
and
yeah,
Skiba has one,
Okay.
but
one apiece.
Hope
That wasn't
Heisey,
like that wasn't me like trying to pull an insult stat. That was just me
You're
genuinely trying
curious.
to ask.
Yeah, we get it. We get it,
Yeah.
man.
uh,
No.
what's interesting though is Hope Heisey has with Spokane has the most saves, but also has is tied with most clean sheets.
hmm Yeah.
So
And that's like the clean sheet thing. Keepers get all the credit for that when they should get a lion's share of it. but
Oh, yeah.
truly it's a
It's a
defensive
team.
stat.
It's a
Yeah,
team
it's
stat.
it's the whole thing. You know, you can't pull
Yeah.
off a clean sheet without the whole team doing what they're supposed to do, and
Yeah.
we just can't. We struggle with it, no matter what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
such is life. If we're going into this home stretch, seeing what we saw some encouraging things. We've got 3 final matches, which one happens to be our Pups at the Pitch match, right, on the 10th.
Yes. This
So
weekend.
It's
that's
Saturday.
I'm
yep,
so excited.
very exciting stuff. It's our first one that we're doing as a club, so I'm pretty thrilled that we're going to be doing that. Hopefully, we'll have lots of dogs out there that need some petting and can bring extra good vibes. That
Therapy.
just yes, yes, just that's maybe. Well, I'm hoping good vibes first, but then if we need the therapy dogs, then they're there, and then we can all just like huddle around them and be like, "Tell me it's okay, Airbud."
I
You're
mean,
right, it will be, and it's just a game.
if Airbud's there, we might need them to get up.
Yes, wasn't there a soccer Airbud
Yeah,
movie?
there's
There
one for every
was.
sport.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I thought so. I couldn't remember for sure, but I thought there was. And maybe that's what's actually gonna happen. You know how they had like the beer deal with Jack Beer,
Yeah.
but then Jack Beer actually didn't play. But this time we have the Pups on the Pitch, and we bring in the Airbud that featured in the soccer version of the movie, and then that golden retriever turns our season around, and we finish 3-0.
Tyler,
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you though.
Don't tell me the dog.
Those
Oh.
movies came out like
Oh,
a long time ago.
are you trying to tell me the dog's dead? Is that your nice way of doing this?
Probably is.
You gonna tell me Santa's not real now? Like, wow, we're out here like crushing dreams and hopes and stuff. Just gonna. Well, you know what? That dog probably had puppies, and they're probably like little
Yeah.
amazing soccer stars. It's probably been like 8 generations by now, but whatever. They've just had time to refine their skill, and then one of them is the Messi of dog soccer, and is going to save our season. I'm stuck on it. That's what's going to happen. I'm just believing. Don't take it away from me. Don't start looking it up. That's because she's like, actually, all of them are gone, and their entire bloodline has been erased.
I hope they treated Airbud like they treated Secretariat. You know what I mean? I hope they pampered them.
Okay.
And we got many offspring from Airbud.
Do we want to date ourselves really quick?
No.
So the Buddy.
You're the youngest.
I'm gonna do it. Buddy, the golden retriever who played Airbud in the movies, unfortunately is not alive. He died of cancer in 1998. 1998.
Oh man.
That's how old these movies are.
I feel like you put things in perspective for us there too, Jessica, because we're all sad about losing soccer games, and you're like, Airbud is no longer with us, and I'm like, man, that is a sadder thing to think about. So you know what? Maybe it's not so bad that we stink at soccer. Maybe it's okay in the grand scheme of life. We should just appreciate the journey. This journey of talking about how we haven't won.
Well, on that note.
On that note, yes.
Sorry,
onward.
I didn't mean to bring the vibe down.
It's okay.
No,
everybody who listens comes for the tangents, and they probably were very invested in what happened to Airbud and Airbud's lineage thereafter. So Pups at the Pitch is coming up. We're going to be playing against Tampa Bay, which Tampa Bay has been doing good. Last 5 matches, they've only lost once, and that was against Spokane. It was a 3-2. Otherwise, they've been doing just fine. They've been on a tear. You look past that, we still have to do Fort Lauderdale, which Fort Lauderdale has been in a mega slump. So not so scary. And then DC after that, also not so scary. They did just beat Brooklyn, but otherwise not so great. So Tampa is going to be the test of the trio, it seems right now. I mean, all of them are a test. When you look at our current situation, we still have to prove ourselves. But if we're really thinking about like, who's kind of like the monster out of the group, it's probably going to be Tampa.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What do we overall, thinking about with these last 3 matches, do we feel like we were kind of on the upswing with how we performed in Spokane, even though it didn't quite end up like we wanted and there were still some things we need to clean up? Or are we just kind of like reserved on this? We're like, I still got to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm pretty reserved on it. I think that they'll go out and fight, and when a team has nothing to lose, then they're always a dangerous team, so we got nothing to play for, so we can just go out and put it
Have
all
fun.
out there. Yeah. And we can play spoiler, which is, always fun. Try to wreck other people's seasons. It's getting tight for that race, for the playoff race. And yeah, we just want to play spoiler a little bit. So I don't know. I'm reserved, but like I said, anything can happen.
Well, and that I feel like with this team, that's been one thing that I've really appreciated and respected about all these women is they always give their all, no matter what.
Absolutely.
They're gonna go out there and play their hardest. So yeah, that's. I think I'm just still most sad about and in denial that the season's coming to a close, which means
I know
we'll see who
Which means
stays
who knows
and who goes. And and next season we have Jacksonville coming into the mix, so we have another team. So that will be playing against to kind of mix things up next season. So yeah,
more opportunities to win. that's what I'm going with.
There we go.
I think, you know what, I'm gonna just be real optimistic right now. I think we could finish with 6 points out of these 3. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say we got 6 points coming our way. We are due 6 points. I'm manifesting 6 points as hard as I've ever manifested anything in my entire life.
Yep.
I think it's possible.
I think if we, keep rolling out a consistent lineup, we can start to see more of what we saw in the last game.
Yeah.
It seemed like something was maybe working there from the consistency of that lineup kind of starting to show. And, maybe if we see that same lineup again or, a very, very, very close variation of it, we might be able to see something. Something tangible.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like with the performance we had against Spokane, and I feel like we were kind of able to hold our own then, and where they are currently with how they performing, I feel like is definitely showing an upward trend as far as the last few games go.
I mean, they've been rocking it, and I feel like they didn't completely outclass us, like you just said, Jessica. So I think that's a good sign overall. And you really think about like, okay, but what if we'd gotten that handball like we were supposed to? Maybe it would have been an even tighter game. Maybe we made a couple different moves here and there. Who knows? Maybe we could have drawn. I'm remaining optimistic in that regard. So 3 points. We're definitely going to get the win with the Pups on the pitch, though. Airbud or not, doesn't even matter. We're just going to make an Airbud tifo. The 3 of us will make our own Airbud tifo. Whenever I say make a tifo, I have no time because state testing is happening at school. So I will print off a picture of Airbud for each of us to hold, and we will just hold it in the air. And that'll be our tifo.
Oh my gosh.
Are you guys bringing your pups?
No.
Oh, no. Mine is very old and very blind and very adverse to other dogs being near him. So that's a big negative.
Mine is just obnoxious. I mean, she's
the best.
She's an awesome dog, but when she is excited, she just constantly barks, and she just has so much excitement and love to give.
I'm down.
But it's too much.
I'm there.
I don't know. We're basically best friends. So
what you're saying is I should bring her and you'll hold her the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a big dog too.
I love big dogs.
Okay.
Big dog.
But
Sorry.
But with actually, but I don't know, because they have you sign a waiver, and I think they have to
I'm not forcing you. We're just doing a bit. We're just going along. We're just going along.
Jesse's like, I don't want to bring my dog.
Yeah, I'm not forcing you.
Just leave it at that. I love my dog, and I'm not bringing her, but just leave it.
I just want to see some dogs. That's all I'm asking.
Just some dogs. I'm gonna come with my shoes off.
No, please do not.
I just realized though, what are they gonna? Are they gonna let people out to if their dog has to go to the bathroom? What are they gonna do?
They'll probably have to have relief stations.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. It's a great question.
Yeah.
Glad it's not my issue.
It's not my job to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. It's just we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not literal pups on the pitch and the player has to stop play because they're like, well, I gotta go clean my cleats real quick and then we'll redo them here in a second. You just do a drop ball right here.
Tyler, how are you going to segue us out of this one?
Let's talk about the fact that somebody asked if we know who our Super League coach is. No, we don't know who our new Super League coach is. And I would guess that whoever it is has that dog in them, and they will. Sorry, Kyle's not in here yet to stop me, so I'm gonna ride this wave as long as I can. But I do think that we probably have our eye on some candidates. I mean, it'd be silly not to at this point with the season coming to a close. And then it's a relatively quick turnaround when you really think about it. I know everybody's like, but summer, you have all summer. No, you really don't. You have to kind of get going. So I imagine a candidate or group of candidates is in mind. Who they might be, I don't know. And even if I did know, I probably couldn't tell you because then the horse mafia, right? They would come for me.
Imagine we bring back Sly from Spokane.
Sly. Yeah, that would be insane, honestly. Apparently, she's doing great out there, so who knows if she would come back, but if she did and could bring that magic, that would be super dope. And then, of course, we got a shout out to Shea Warrior, team of the month, for the millionth time. Of course, big baller, always doing big things for us. One of our staples that we talk about all the time that on this
someone
team,
to build around.
Yep, when you're talking about consistency and just being that person that when they're on the field, they're going to deliver, it's her. So big congrats to her. And then we'll do another congrats. Why not? Before we transition. Speaking of Super League, Ben Willis, the goalkeeper coach, announced today that his family will be adding a new addition. They're going to have a baby coming in July. And then Logan Ketterer. Here's my transition to the USLC. They added another addition to their family. His little girl was born. So I think it was Josie Jane, I think was her name. So it's super cool. It's awesome to see all these amazing things happening for people around the team. One of them not beating Lose City, though. So with that, Magic. Oh, it's Kyle. Whoa.
He was late.
I just said one thing about USLC, and there he is. It's
well,
like magic.
This is the magic of podcasting that people don't always get to see behind the curtain.
Yes.
But
they don't know how long it took me to set up the summoning circle. It's a long time. I put a pair of Brooks running shoes and then one of the Blackstone spatulas. And I had a bunch of things I had to get together. And then here we are. Kyle's back in.
Tyler, I've told you a million times, I'm a Mizuno guy. I don't run in Brooks or any of those other. Yeah.
My bad. My bad. Mizuno. I mean, they do make tires. It makes sense. So, do you make car noises? Is it the same company? There are Mizuno tires. Is it the exact same company?
I don't know.
Whoa, I thought you were a Mizuno guy.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Fraud alert.
Mizuno guy, eh?
I don't.
That's like the guy who wears the Mercedes hat but doesn't own a Mercedes. Wow, what a fraud!
I just looked it up. They're not the same. So nice try with your off-brand Mizuno tires.
Dang it! I don't know anything about tires or running shoes. Stay in my life.
Next thing you're going to tell me that Yamaha motorcycles also makes pianos. Dude.
That sounds ridiculous. Like, who would do that? Man, weirdest crossover. Kyle's here. He couldn't stop me, but now he's here to rein me back in. He missed our Airbud conversation, but it's okay. He'll get to enjoy that later, fresh out of the oven. Let's jump into our championship stuff. Okay. We had a pretty big week, Derby week, double Derby week.
Derby.
Derby. Hey, it's actually Derby. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Sorry, as a joke. Somebody was trying to save me because they were like, it's not actually Derby, and I was like, I'm just kidding. I was just being goofy.
You can't spell it. Like the joke doesn't like work if you like don't spell it out. You know what I mean?
That's why they need this, so they can hear me being an idiot, and they're like, I see what he was doing there. Now it all makes sense. So okay. This Lou City matchup, let's just jump right in. I got to. Ugh. We knew this was going to be tough. I know we said like Loudon right now is like the hot hand in the league, and we talked about like the struggle against them and how refs hate us and all that good stuff. Lou City, though, is one of those teams that you always know you're going to have a tough match, no matter what year it is, no matter what time of year, no matter if it's regular season, Jaeger Cup, whatever, right? And so watching this match, which like I had a game that night, but I managed to watch some of it on my phone on the bus ride home with the kids. I just want to talk about the first half before we get into all the drama of the second half. First half, how do we feel about that half of the game? Kyle, I'm going to let you do this. You haven't had a chance to talk yet.
You want me to start?
Yes.
First half of the match, it was obviously scoreless. To me, it was pretty evident that Louisville actually was the much better team. I think a lot of folks, if you looked at the halftime score and didn't look at the halftime stats or even didn't watch the match, or if you're someone like myself who's inclined to look at what Vegas thinks of some of these matchups and what's happening in the moment, you would think that this is a pretty darn close match. But to me, it looked like Louisville was just much better. They're pressing. They had a ton of opportunities right in front of the net. Dylan and Jessica and I were texting a lot about that. Just it seemed like we were fortunate to go into the half tied. And it came down to a couple of like lucky misses by Louisville. And then, Ketterer made some nice saves as well. But all that being said, I didn't think that we were like actually playing too horribly. It actually just looked like Louisville, was just the more fit team. They were a little bit stronger, a little bit faster, looked like a varsity against a JV team. Like, honestly, it didn't look like Lexington was really playing like, bad at all. I actually thought, there were some really nice moments in there. It just seemed like they were flat out better. And I don't know, you can look at stats, and obviously Lexington's a team that likes to have possession, Louisville less so. They're much more comfortable out of possession, playing some counter movement, and you saw that in the first half, and yet, they still had the better opportunities. So there was that Burks kind of non-shot, but almost could have been a penalty call toward the end of the first half, which seemed like a fantastic scoring opportunity, but there were very few and far between. So that was my impression of the first half. It was scoreline, obviously, we'll take it. But you kind of felt like it was inevitable what was about to happen, and it was more about Louisville than Lexington.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more, Kyle. Excuse me. Yeah, the first half, it felt like Louisville just like had it all, like you said, a varsity team versus a JV team. And that just goes to show you the like pedigree of Louisville, right? And like the caliber of team they are. They've been around the block. They've done this before, so but I felt like we held our own, and I really, really think that comes down to Ketterer. He really kept us in there. I mean, the chances that Louisville had were spectacular chances from every which way. And yeah, I was texting in our group chat. I was like, it felt like every chance that Louisville had was right dead center, for someone to take a direct shot at goal. And we were super lucky that Ketterer was there to make those crazy saves that he always does to keep us alive in the half, and just kind of like give us some breath and like be like, oh wow, we stood toe to toe. We're, you know, our goalie's standing on his head right now. Let's build off that.
He was absolutely phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just feel like if we're looking at who kept us in the match, it's got to be him.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we were kind of pressured and, I mean, in a lot of ways outclassed in that first half, there were a lot of times that I was pretty hopeful, like we can maybe see this thing out, like at 0-0, 1-1 or something, and then come away feeling good about ourselves. Because for every phenomenal chance they had, not only was Ketter there to stop it, but I feel like as a team we were rallying pretty well to at least absorb all of that. Versus, you know, like in the past, I mean, you guys know, anytime we're trying to absorb pressure from really tough teams, you could just feel the breakdown coming. You're like, it's inevitable. This time I was like, okay, maybe we can actually weather this storm, and they come out the other side feeling okay about the results. And overall, I feel like it wasn't a bad first half, and especially if you could have carried it to the second half, I think we would have all felt fine. I don't think any Lexington fan would have complained if it had just been 0-0. I think everybody would be like, that's great, perfect, something to build off of. Let's go from here and see what happens.
I want to point out too, I thought Epps had a really exceptional, like, I thought he was, you know, one of our standouts for the game overall, but the first half especially, I thought he had a lot of really good progressive passes and accurate passes as well. And I thought he was really key to our offense and getting that going. And he's someone who, like, I haven't really voiced this, but I've kind of been like, on, you know, like, I kind of want to see more from him. Like, I know that he's like that caliber, but I feel like, and maybe it's not really necessarily his fault. Maybe it's like a system fault, but I feel like we haven't seen the full Marcus Epps yet. And I feel like this is where I got to see more of that and, you know, see more of his, you know, pure talent that, you know, in this match.
One thought that comes to mind as far as how we like to keep possession. And I think generally in the games that, when you look at the stats for all the games we've played, we have normally been on the top as far as possession, and like pass accuracy is pretty good. But then I wonder if because of that, other teams understand that's kind of our strategy, is just maintain possession as long as possible. But in cases like that, you know, it breaks down eventually. And like Kyle, you mentioned, as far as just how they were pressing, is that leads to those tiny mistakes that make all the difference, as far as breaking it down. And so I don't know. So it's just a thought that came to mind. It makes me wonder if other teams are kind of catching on to that and are just like, okay, yeah, they like to keep possession, so just wait for that tiny moment where they eventually make a mistake, and, you know, we capitalize on that.
Yeah, it's playing a low block. You know, it's really hard for us to play against a low block, and then someone plays a really good counterattack off that, and then, you know, it's been one of our biggest problems this season is encountering that.
Yeah, and I think like the situation with Burke that Kyle had mentioned, where he like tries to dribble it all the way up to the keeper for the perfect shot, that was the perfect thing that we could use as a gift to just underscore what we've been saying about us just refusing to just let it rip and just say, all right, this is a great opportunity. We just play with our food so long that eventually it's just they come in and clean our plate. And I just hated that. Like watching it the whole time, I'm like, just please shoot. Just shoot the ball. Like, don't let him close the distance on you. And then that's exactly what happened. And then, you know, of course, at that point, you're like, okay, do we get a PK out of, you know, this situation, you know, where there's some contact? And you're not gonna. You know, we've said this before. We joke about, Burke basically being Khalid 2.0. Like they're never going to call anything in his favor because he's 6'4" and a big dude, and it's just not going to work out in our way. So I don't know. That was tough, Kyle.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, like, one of the things that we were texting about in the first half was that at least I had the feeling that it was a match where you could probably count on like one hand, maybe two, the amount of like chances that Lexington was going to get to score. Right? It felt like one of those where you really just had to capitalize. And if you look at Fight Mob, or if you're looking at some of these statistical breakdowns of the match, I feel like there's different definitions for like big chances missed. I think we were listed as like maybe 2 chances or maybe 0. I don't know what it was, but like to me, it's like that Burke non-chance essentially isn't going to go down in the stat or in the box score as like a chance missed, but obviously that's like a huge opportunity. Same thing when Jacob Green has that beautiful strike off the post, like it's shot off target, so it looks like it's another maybe non-chance, but really like those are the chances. And when you're going up against a team with a pedigree like Dylan said of Louisville, it's like you really like they don't beat themselves. They very rarely make mistakes. So you have to play a near perfect match to come away with 3 points or even to come away with a draw. And just not capitalizing on those, few moments felt like that was kind of going to be the end of it. Like you almost had to steal a goal somewhere, right? Like it's like the team that ends it with expected goal of like 0.2 and they scored a goal and you're just like, how did that happen? It's like that. It's because they kind of stole one along the way, and you almost have to have those against Louisville. That probably goes for most teams in the USL, and not just Lexington, but kind of got a little taste of the kind of level that they're playing at.
Tyler, who really surprised me in this game, and I know this is more second half because he came in as a sub, but it was Jacob Green. Like we haven't really seen him too much, but when he came on the field, like I thought he was really, really good. And like, we didn't win, so we didn't put in him, we didn't put out like the player of the match voting, but I would have had him in there for sure because I thought he played really, really well, and I would like to see him more just based off that performance alone.
Yeah, it's always nice to see those players that we don't get a lot of looks at, and then when they do come out there, you're like, okay, this is what they have in the tank. So that's really, really cool to see those moments, and I thought he did well as well, man. So like second half, this is the part where we have to kind of just grin and bear it when we talk about. I'm going to go ahead and just kick us off because I know we're dying to talk about it and get it out of the way. The thing that changes the whole complexion of the game, the entirety of the rest of the match, it's got to be the red card. I'm not saying that we don't lose if that doesn't happen, but I am saying it absolutely was a contributing factor. So everybody was super hyped. Ajago, like he was around in preseason, disappeared, came back. Everybody's like, okay, look at this MLS talent. This guy's going to come in here and tear it up. That is about the absolute worst scenario for a debut for a team as you could hope for. Not because it was a red card, but because of the nature of the red card.
Yeah.
And, we're pretty chill on here, but I'll be real. Like, that was embarrassing. Not just because it was in like a derby match, where we're facing off against our rivals, like the premier team in the league. That's not the only reason it was embarrassing. It was because of the nature of the foul. Like, yes, McFadden, who had grabbed a hold of Ajago's foot and wouldn't let go, that was a goon move. Like, you should have just let him get a card. Like at that point, like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He knew he was doing it. Yes, and you should have, like, Ajago should have just let him get the card and then be done with it. We get a free kick. That's it. It's not like he would have fallen like terribly far. He was already basically to the ground. You just let your body fall and then let them see that he's got you in an ankle lock, and then he gets carded. We have an opportunity. Maybe we score, and then we still have 11 players the rest of the match. Instead, we have the situation where he kicks out and kicks him in the face. And it's really, really hard. Like, we defend players to no end on here, but it's very hard to defend that whenever you see him look under his own body and back at McFadden and then kick. And it just sucks because that is not what we want happening on our team. Like, we want a team of guys that we can get behind and be like, these are quality dudes. They're going to be great sportsmen. They're going to put it on the line. They're not going to be nice guys on the field, right? That's not what we're looking for. We don't want them to walk up and be like, oh, excuse me, you go ahead and take the pass and just run away with it. Like, we want them to battle, but there's got to be like parameters to that battling. And I think that was outside of the parameters. And then, of course, the meme worthy going off the field asking for VAR. Like, I just wish, like I said, he just let McFadden take the card and be done with it. Or, like, if he had done what he had done, got in the red, exited the field, just left, just go, and then be like, you know what, whatever. I'll contest this in another area where it's more appropriate and it doesn't exacerbate the situation. And so that was super disheartening to see that all play out like it did.
Yeah.
It was absolutely clown behavior. Like, you can't do that. You can't donkey kick a guy in the head. I mean, like, what is that? And like, it's just so silly. And to be like, yeah, VAR, and like, VAR is not going to save you, buddy.
No.
It'd make it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the replay, like, we're lucky that actually, we're not even lucky. He's going to get suspended for this. Like, and they might review it and he might get suspended, but like a longer time, because it looked like there was intent involved too. Like, this is like a pretty serious thing. And it honestly might be just worth it to like let go of his loan, because it's just a waste of a player spot at this point, like. And honestly, I don't want that kind of behavior on my team. Like, I don't want that guy representing my team. Like, it's just absolutely clown behavior. I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't have, but completely agree. And there was a lot of talk in the Discord, and there were a couple people that disagreed, and that they both should have just gotten a yellow, or that McFadden's card, that his foul should have been considered a red as well. Dude, pulling a leg is not the same as kicking in the face. It just isn't. And yeah, completely agree. It's embarrassing. I'm just not a fan of that type of behavior at all. I think it's just silly, and yeah, I think he let his ego kind of get in the way in that moment. And just, let the heat of the moment kind of take over his emotions, and he just wasn't thinking. But that does not excuse it at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have much more to add. It is one of those. It's the two things that come to mind for me are like, just because the aggressor deserved a yellow card doesn't mean that the retaliation doesn't deserve a red. It's not like an either or. Like, they both can and should and were called. And so I feel like in the moment it actually was called correctly. Of course, that he has the assistant ref there helping. So I mean, it was all kind of right there. The thing that hurts the most, Tyler, you kind of alluded to it, is just like the online kind of fallout from all of it. Is like, it got some pretty like heavy traction in like the soccer world, even outside of USL a little bit, probably because of the MLS connections to the player and et cetera. But it was just not a great like look. And it's so as a fan, sometimes you're like, man, that loss really hurt, but like getting on Twitter is going to be twice as bad, or like,
absolutely, Kyle, absolutely.
Or like, it doesn't matter and it doesn't make sense, but it's still just like, I don't want to, like, you're just like pulling up your phone, you're like, all right, we got to get past this, and it was bad.
Yeah,
it's like somebody sent me,
but hey, they're talking about soccer,
It's true. Somebody sent me when Lou City posted like, show me the biggest crash out you've ever seen, and then it was literally that, and I'm like, you know what? Good post, admin. I hate it with all my heart, but it's I can't really say it's a bad post. But it's up to our players not to put us in that situation. We're trying to build something in our city. We're trying to get people excited about soccer, and then you already have Louisville like sitting there chanting that we got little brother energy, and then that just piles onto it. that adds to the little brother energy. And it's like we're trying to be something serious, and then we're doing unserious things,
Yeah.
And it just sucks. Like we all said, we don't want that type of thing happening on our team. Like he could have like legit, like whether or not it was cruddy behavior to put him in an ankle lock, trying to kick somebody in the face when you have cleats on, like you're going for hurting somebody. That is a frustration move. That is a very immature, like I'm letting my temper get the better of me and I'm going to get mine in type of moment. And it's just it's not okay. Like I want to beat them in goals, not cleat them in the face. Like that's not what this game is about. And that just takes the specialness out of these matches, and it takes the fun out of these rivalries. It's no longer fun at that point. Then it becomes like a weird, like seething thing that spills into the fan base, because then you have fans at each other about this thing. And, I'm sorry, like, and you guys already mentioned it, like other fans that are saying like, well,
it should have been held his foot.
But like you have to admit, a red's a red. It was a dangerous play. You would have been ticked off if somebody cleated you in the face. Like you cannot do those things. And like we are very Homer-esque up here. Like we support this team all day, every day. So if we're sitting here saying like that was wrong, it's probably wrong. And there's a line to being a homer for your team. Like whenever safety is involved or just class is involved, you got to take a step back and be like, does this breach those things? And this definitely does. And, that's the most serious part, obviously. But of course, we get 2 goals dropped on us after this because we're down 1. And like facing off against Lou City with their full squad is hard enough. We've already mentioned that. All of us have said that. They were a tough team. You got to be on your A game. It has to be perfect or near perfect, at least, like Kyle said. And then we're down to 10. And that changes everything, especially against a team like that. This isn't like, whenever we'd have those chaotic moments in USL 1, and then you'd go down like to 9 men, and then all of a sudden you start scoring goals like crazy. Like, I know that people will say, but the gap is not as big as people think it is, but it's there. There is a definite gap, especially when you're talking about teams like Lou City. That gap is about as big as it can be. And so then you put yourself in a situation where now you're on the back foot in a big way. It's not really that surprising. The moment I saw that we had a red card, I was like, there it is. There's game. Yeah. There's game. Like we can't weather that storm through the entirety against a team of that caliber. And, it's great that we held them to 2, and 1 was just off of an own goal nonetheless. But it's still just bothersome that we could not see what potential we had with a full squad through the whole 90 minutes. Because that's where I'm left wanting, is like what could have been if we had full 90 minutes of 11 people on the field.
Yep.
I don't know. Tough times, and I just feel like
can we talk
now. Yeah.
Tyler, did you see when Kieran Sargent nearly took off Danny Cruz's head? Do we? Like Lou City actually tweeted that clip out, which is kind of funny.
Did they really?
Yeah, but
I didn't see that.
He was like, I don't know, a good like 5 yards like off the pitch and just took a full like punt kick right at the ball, like a foot away from the Lou City manager. It was like obviously in hindsight it's funny.
Yeah, but the ball was way out, and he
way out
for it, and he still went for it. I have no idea why.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. I'm surprised no one on. I think like one of the Lou City guys put his hands in the air, but like that was it. They kind of just kept playing on. I was like, did anybody see that? And Lou City tweeted it out, but.
I thought he would have gotten a yellow for it. Like that's how egregious it was. But like I think it was like so close to their Lou City's head coach that everyone was just like bewildered that he was okay, that we forgot about the penalty, or not penalty, the foul.
Yeah. That was a wild.
That's my highlight,
match.
Personal highlight.
But I mean, like, that's the type of like match this was. It's like just insane things happening. And I guess like that's what you want out of rivalries, that it has a touch of insanity. Just like, I'd love for it to be toned down a little bit in some of these other aspects where I'm like, can we not try and like, go weird gauntlet style, last man standing type of situation. But
Well,
it just,
I just
sorry.
hate to, like, to your point, Tyler, you know, they're always saying like little brother mentality and stuff, and then we kind of like feed into it, like we play into their hand, and I just hate that. It's like, can we just play independently from whatever they are? And you know, like, I don't want to be them, I just want to be us, and they're gonna be them because they've been them for years and years and years, and we've hammered it on every episode we've had, and especially this one. There's just a huge gap between them and us. They're like miles ahead of us in terms of like every single facet, you know. So like we just have to like temper expectations when we play them. You know, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it was kind of exciting though, getting to see Lancaster. And did Speedy play for them too at one point?
Yeah.
I think that's what they were talking about. So I think that was kind of neat too, just seeing them kind of back where they had played before. And so that was a kind of a fun dynamic.
That is one of those cool, like little like lore moments. Yeah, where it's like, whoa, okay. It would have been way cooler if each of them had scored a goal. But it was neat to see that happen. And it kind of starts making you think about like, when are we going to see a lot of that type of stuff happening, where we've been around the league so long that like our reach has expanded. I mean, I guess you could say we're already like basically like spread out amongst League One. It's like we were like a parasite that grew and like infected hosts. But you know, you start wondering like, man, when are we gonna like get to that level where it's just like, oh man, there's an LSC player or a former one, and there's a former green, and then there's one, and it is cool. And you know, I heard that they were pretty cool with everybody after the match on Lou City. You know, of course, having that connection, which is neat to see. I just, so this being like derby rivalry, whatever aside, you know, it does stink if we start looking at it as another loss in the bank. We have another one that is now been laid in our lap. And we actually had a couple of questions from listeners about this, about our situation, because now we're in 12th place in the West. So in the Western Conference, and I think it's by some tiebreaker metric, there's like 14 different tiebreakers that you could dive into.
Can I ask a question real quick? Where is USL Tactics? Because I want to fight him, because he expected us to be so great, and look at us now. We're sitting 12th, and like a few weeks ago, he was like, trust the, you know, he's like, we see promise in this. I'm not seeing it, John. Come talk to me. Come find me. You know where I'm at.
Now, before we get into this, I will say I see promise in the sense that I do think this is probably the best overall squad that we've ever had on the field for us. But something is not clicking. Something's not clicking. We're not
scoring.
We're not. Yes, we're still not scoring. You know, we've been over this. So we had kind of a question about like us being in 12th place, and are we concerned? And then we also had somebody ask like, how many points do you think we need out of the next 3 matches to not be hitting the panic button? So I kind of feel like those are in the same vein, right? Like us being at the bottom of the West currently, and 3 tough matches coming up. Are we concerned if we don't reach a certain milestone or a certain point value? So our next 3 matches we are actually playing Loudoun again. We played them not long ago, 2 weeks ago, right? We're playing them away, back at home against FC Tulsa, and then we have another home match against the Rowdies. So thinking about these 3 teams, Loudoun still kind of doing Loudoun things. I mean, they have a couple of losses. I mean, their most recent match was a 1-0 loss against Las Vegas. So maybe their momentum is, you know, slightly altered. Tulsa has been kind of back and forth, a bunch of draws, bunch of losses, a win sprinkled in. Tampa Bay, they've kind of been a little back and forth as well. Not necessarily a team that it's just like, oh man, they're coming for us. They've had a lot of draws. So looking at their results and kind of where we're sitting, where it's been a minute since we've won. What do we got? Our last win was March 19th against Southern Indiana.
Oh my God.
March 19th against Southern Indiana was our last win, and we have a whole lot of matches since then. And Kyle, you dropped a really sad stat the other day. What was your sad stat for us that you just popped into the chat and tried to ruin my day? Yeah.
Was it about the goals not being scored?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to go back to, let's see, April 5th.
Yeah.
To find our last
1 full month.
goal. So we're exactly 1 month as of taping this episode since our last goal. And people they didn't like that we got all happy about that 5-0 win over Southern Indiana FC, but now you see why we did it. We got to make them last. You know what I mean? We got to all the ones they say you got to act like you've been there before. Well, we aren't there very often, and so just got to soak them in. So it's been a while since the last goal scored. And then if you want to, that was one goal, and then the goal or the match before that was the USOC lost to Columbus Crew 2. And so, it's a pretty grim last month if you go and look. So there you go.
It's tough. Sorry, Jessica, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't the way we're trending in our episodes is we when we talked about Super League last episode, we were like started all high and then it went and now it's like what? It's depressing. I don't like it.
Yeah, I would love for the team to give us things to not be sad about. That would be super amazing, spending our Saturdays supporting, and then you're like, okay, time to talk about how we spent, 3 hours of our lives watching us lose this weekend. If we think about those 3 games that I laid out there, maybe let's table the 12th position thing for now. But in your mind, what would make you feel like, okay, I could kind of live with this over the next 3 matches? How many points would you have to make you feel like, all right, maybe we'll be okay? I think
say at least 4.
Okay, 4 for Dylan.
Over the next 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I was trying to do this game last time we were on the podcast about the whole record based on the schedule, the teams you play, and it can be a little deceiving. But when you're already this far back early in the season, it really doesn't matter who you play. You kind of have to strap on the boots and get some results. So I would agree with Dylan at 4 minimum.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I would be happy with 4, but I need goals. I need goals in this. Even if we take a loss out of one of those, I want some goals out of that thing too. That for me is actually at this moment paramount, because I mean, really, truly, we're not getting those results if we don't figure out our scoring. So I need to see scoring across all 3 matches. If I'm not seeing scoring out of at least 2 of those 3 matches and at least 4 points, I'm getting real worried, because right now, somebody had asked me, they're like, okay, look, based on where everybody is in the table, this time last year, everybody was feeling the heat, feeling pretty upset about what the heck, we were doing so good, at least as far as building a team, and everybody was hyped about it, and then here we are. And so somebody was like, what's the deal? Why is everybody cutting this team so much slack? And I think we've talked about this in the past about it's higher level competition. It's the idea that, everything's fresh and new. You got to figure it all out. But I do feel like we're kind of approaching that point where it's you have to start figuring it out. There's a lot of season left, but
are we cutting them some slack? I don't feel like we are.
I don't know. I don't know that we are. I feel like we're routinely being like, why can't we score goals? What is the deal? Why do you make me sad? Do you like it whenever my sons watch me cry at night? Slew things. But I just think that if we don't have those 2 things for me, I will fully be like, you all have to make some drastic changes, because whatever you're cooking, the recipe's wrong. I just don't really know. Sorry, Kyle.
I feel like I need like 2 weeks without drastic changes is what I would like. You know,
Right.
like
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
want changes, but don't make any changes. You know what I'm saying? Like let's figure it out. I don't know. Uh, to me,
Right.
it's like it's this whole roster turnover thing continues to be just kind of the story.
True.
When it's like let's see what we have. Let's try to figure it out with who we got. But I do agree that it's like at some point, you're 8 matches in and the finish line gets closer and closer. So yeah, you have to kind of step it up here sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely worried where we are already. Like, just the
Mhm.
way that the season has gone, it felt like, the first game felt like good because of like how we won, and it felt like we were kind of piggybacking off of that for like a really long time, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
And things just have not gone our way since that game against Southern Indiana, like truly. And that's a really long time to be in a funk and still not figure things out. And meanwhile, we got guys who are leaving, and then we got guys who are coming in, and then guys who are coming in are getting red cards. And we're not putting out a consistent lineup every week. There's going to be so much turnover on the lineup. It's a no for me, dog. Like, legit. Like, it's so much for us to fight through every single week, and the front office is not doing us any favors, to help us win these games, and it's just not a great situation for the players to be in. I am not at all confident, and like, Loudon is a really, really good team, as we've already stated, and Tampa Bay, they're a really good club too. They're like a really successful club overall. They have had like people who like are consistent players for their roster. Like, they're just a good club, and that's going to be hard to beat. So 4 points is like kind of low, to be honest too, but it's still like I'm setting the bar so low, and that's all we need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, because like my gut wanted to say 6, but I'm like, I'll go with 4 if I see goals. I'll go with
Yeah.
that. And it's just we're still plagued by the same thing. It doesn't matter like what we're tweaking or who we bring in or who we switch out. We're just not making shots count, and we're still just I don't know. And maybe we're just spoiled because even in our roughest patches in the previous years, we had people taking shots and scoring goals. And we had those like pick me up games where it'd be like, oh my gosh, we just went 3 matches in a row without a win or a draw. This sucks. And then here comes Ates Diouf, and he would drop a hattie on a team. And then you'd be like, we're back, baby. And then it would pull you right back in just whenever you're getting real sad and you're like, I hate soccer and everything is terrible. And then you enter an emo phase. But, I
Never
just
left.
find myself blasting Tasha's old My Chemical Romance CDs every day now. It just is something has to settle and get right. And it's tough. Like more so even than last year. I feel like we have really great talent. And I feel
Yeah.
like we have a really solid team that like you're watching them, and for most of the game, you're like, this is the team that's gonna win.
Yeah.
And then we don't. And you're
Yeah.
like, what is this plot twist?
So here's a question. Except it just literally just left my brain. But what I was kind of thinking of is oh, okay, I remember now. Whoop, there it is.
Got that.
ADHD.
Woo!
If you guys do you think it's that we need to change the roster or our tactics when we're in the offensive third, like, because right now we are number 1 with passes and pass accuracy, but again,
Yeah.
we're not scoring. So is it because of our roster, or we're just or we just need to change. Like we're just taking too long, and we need like we keep talking about is just take the shot.
I think that's all it is. Like in my mind, I don't think we need like a roster overhaul. I think that we just, and even our tactics, I feel like are really sound. I feel like we have solid tactics. I wish that, you know, they would grab each other by the shoulders and be like, just shoot the ball. Just shoot the, and I know we've had more shots here recently, but a lot of those shots are from like, we're getting really, really close and we're like, okay, we're right in front of goal. Now we shoot. And sometimes I'm just like, please take it from outside of the box or take it from a strange angle, like throw a curveball their way. Don't just do the formulaic, okay, Lexington only likes to get within 3 feet of the keeper before they take a shot. And I feel like that's what we're always doing is this, like, all right, I'm going to get right there and then I'm going to shoot. And just shoot. just send the ball in. And sometimes chaos will repay you. Sometimes it's not going to be the perfect setup and it'll ping pong around and then go in the goal. And that's great. And that's the beauty of soccer. It's a chaotic sport sometimes. And we don't ever really give it a chance to be chaotic. We just want it all to be very like, we are a machine that does well-oiled things, and machines have efficiency and wait for perfect opportunities. And then we're like, now calculating chances. You know what I mean? It's just
right.
Perfect is the enemy of done.
Yes. Yes. And so I don't know. I don't really know what else the answer was. Like, I feel like if I was watching my middle school team play like this, I would literally be pulling aside my attackers and being like, if you do not shoot the ball, we are running. Like we're running some laps tomorrow. Like, I just need you to shoot the ball, please. Like, do not do one more skill move. Do not try and draw one more foul in the box. Just shoot it. That's all I'm asking from you. And if you miss, I will just be happy that you attempted. That's all I need. And you know, sometimes I feel unfair saying this because I do feel like they're trying to get shots off. I do feel like they're trying some creative stuff. So it's not maybe as formulaic as I'm making it sound or robotic as I'm making it sound, but something has to get cleaned up on that side of the ball to make it happen.
There are times too where I feel like Burke's strategy is less taking shots and more trying to draw fouls. And it just and then he gets frustrated when he doesn't draw a foul. It's like I don't know. It just that's just how I perceive it.
And it's just like striker strike. And I will say nothing like gets under my skin more than when you have like a monster of a striker that's trying to draw fouls constantly. I'm like, you are an absolute unit of a human being. You are a refined striker that should be able to just shoot the ball and not need a free opportunity. If you get fouled, yes, let's go from there. But let's spend less time trying to like say, okay, if I change my speed in the box, they're going to step on my heels and then I'm going to fall. And I'm not saying Burke does this, but I'm just saying like, it's the performativeness that a lot of strikers tend to have. And I'm like, just do your job, just shoot the ball and see if your skills and all this hard work you've put in pay off instead of trying to get a freebie, you know? So I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, a perfect example is in the Louisville game where he had the perfect opportunity and the defensive player came in and tackled the ball, but it was clean, or I don't remember exactly. I mean, obviously they didn't call a foul. Even it might have been, I don't know. But either way, they didn't call it. And then he's just sitting there frustrated. It's like, well, if you had just shot the ball, you wouldn't be in this situation. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I don't know. I wish I had like the magic solution for this. Because I truly don't think it's go get more talent. Now, would I hate if all of a sudden like Medins came back? Would I hate it if Ates came back and we were just like, you know, let's kind of see what happens if we put them in the 18? I would not hate that one bit, but I think that's a little different than going and just randomly finding a human that we're like, they have talent. They're from the MLS. It's like, well, like, or we can go with known quantities and give them a chance, especially because Detroit's not using Ates all that much. Like,
Medence has more goals than we do. Not like on the season, but like in this stretch.
In the month.
Yeah.
In the last month. Yeah, I know he just scored recently for Charlotte. And I just don't think it's such a bad idea to pull them back and like give them that shot. And I mean, that's just me. And I will forever, ever, if we don't pull like Ates back, I will go to my grave wondering why we didn't see what he could do with a revamped setup. Just knowing what he did for us in the first 2 seasons and the challenges that we faced, and he still managed to do the things he did. I don't see what the harm is in just being like, show us what you got, and maybe we'll just send you back on loan again if it doesn't work out. Like, whatever they want to do. But there's always that part of me that's like, what if Ates was here? My what would Ates do bracelet? I look down at it during matches, and what would Ates do? That's all I say.
Wolverine meme where he's sitting in the bed.
Yes,
at the picture,
with the picture.
But it's Ates. Yeah.
It's just Ates do. That's exactly right, man. That's the vibe it puts off. It's true. So I don't know. Like, I guess that's maybe my one, like, if I were to change something just to test it out, it would be that. I fear that we are on like a weird slippery slope of, instead of doing those types of things, we're going to continue to do like a Forster or Jago and just be like, who is available that we can get on loan, that their loan will expire at the end of the season unless we pay massive money, and then we won't have them again for next year to build around. Like, it worries me a little bit in that regard, but we have to figure it out. We're so deep in this. You can no longer just be like, we're getting there. We're refining the process. Like, we should be a little past the refining the process point to where at least we're producing goals, if not producing points, every couple games. I would be happy if some of these losses were just simply draws, in fact. And then I could maybe be like, all right, we're getting there. The process is in place. We're following the plan. We're building something. We're getting a little bit in the danger zone, though, in my opinion.
Panic button is in my room. It's not in this room. I'm having it like polished and prepared because it's going to go on one of my floating shelves that I just put in. So it's going to go
fancy.
right there. Panic button right there, boys and girls.
Right there.
Yeah, panic buttons nearby for sure. Dylan, I don't know if your camera's crooked or yourself. I don't know. It looks like
it's definitely my camera.
Yeah.
He's just messing with us. He's just recording like this.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I actually have my screen in portrait mode this whole time.
Nice.
Fooled you all. It's great. Okay. We kind of already said what we expect out of these next few games. We have to make it happen. I need to not be the butt of the league. I need just USL as a whole. I'm not even saying championship. I mean, let's get some Super League magic. Let's get some championship magic. We'll talk about it next week, but I don't care. Give me some USL 2 magic or W League magic. I don't care. I just want us to be able to be like, we're on a tear and we're doing our thing, as opposed to just, oh, hey guys, so what bad call did the refs have for us today? Hey guys, do you remember whenever our player punched out that other player because he stepped on a shoe? Hey guys, did you know that we had 0 shots on goal today? I want something different. Give me some variety. Spice up my life, LSC, please. I don't know how much more I could go through us coming on weekly and being like, so y'all, how about that loss? So I think we're running out of ways to dissect the losses at this point.
We still didn't score any goals.
Yep. Yeah. Well, hey, but there's still Airbud. It's Airbud the 52nd is coming in clutch. Kyle's like, what are y'all talking about?
I'm surprised nobody's made that. Actually, we did score 1 goal last match. Joke.
We were trying to avoid it, Kyle, but read the room, dude. No.
Sorry.
Okay, you're right. We did score a goal in the last month. That's fair. We did do that.
No, the last match on Thursday.
I know. I'm just saying within our month. Yeah, we there was not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. you debunked your own stat. So that's a true fact checker right here. Like this guy is putting the extra work. All right, we'll see. I'm ready for next time we record to be like throwing confetti in the air. I'll have like fireworks in the background. Yes, 70 points. I don't know.
So,
I'm gonna count every point.
Well, I meant like because the Super League and the championship, that's 6 points.
No, we're recording.
I was like, are we
now,
recording
man.
in
It's gonna be
June? Like,
70.
what's going on?
That's exactly what's happening. That way we have lots of happiness to talk about. And everybody like, they still exist? And like, we're back. We got 70 points. Told you all. That'll be a big reveal. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's all good.
Now.
Yes. Okay. Final thoughts. Yeah, me neither. I think I exhausted the thoughts in my thought box. So we're good. Score goals, like Kyle said, make magic happen, bring joy to all of our lives. Give us some like Santa vibes or whatever. I wake up one morning, I'm like, wow, LSC got me 6 points for Christmas. That's all I really want right now. Anyway, everybody make sure you come out for Pups on the Pitch. Check out some dogs. Jessica is hogging her dog. She won't let us pet
my awesome dog.
Yes, she is awesome. She's very friendly, and we're best friends. But that's okay because that means that we can stay best friends, and Dylan can't try and steal the best friendship that we've.
I think the biggest problem is if Jessica brings her dog, I might steal her dog. I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
I think
it might be.
Austin would. My kids would not be okay with it. I wouldn't be okay with it. And Austin would be like, meh.
That's a very dad reaction to that's how I feel about our cats. I'm like, well. Probably living a better life with that family. Shucks. No, they're okay. All right, everybody make sure you get out there as many chances as you can to support the Greens. Only 3 matches left for the ladies for the season. They're all home matches. Just 3, and then that's kind of it for year 1. And I know it's been a tough year 1, but you only get 1 year 1, so might as well ride it out. Hopefully our predictions will be true. We'll finish strong, get some points in before the end of it all, and maybe be a thorn in a couple team sides. That's like something I feel would be ideal. Best case scenario, we at least make life harder for other teams. So we'll see what happens, and then get points for the men's side. All right, guys, until we see you out at the stables again, you know what it is. Come on, you Greens.